Alright, today we're going to go over the post-test study guide. This is part 2, pages numbers 17 to 36. Now when we start this, you have to remember for 17 through 22, and actually 15 through 22, we're going to be using these hints. So a lot of them are going to start with this idea that, so we're going to be using three terms, alright? Which a lot of it's going to be the general trinomial method, where that's where you break down the factors of the first term, break down the factors of the last term, and then you're going to check the middle using FOIL. Alright, and that's how we're going to do most of these. Alright, so number 17, we're going to start with, we're going to do 17, or 5x squared plus 17x, so that's an x here, plus 6. So to do that, we're going to have to focus on following the three steps. Alright, and those three steps are pretty simple. So it says write the factors of the first term, so I'm going to say 1x and 5x. And then I say the factors of the last term. So I'm going to say 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. Now finally, I'm going to make some parentheses and I'm going to start guessing. Alright, I don't know which one's going to work. I'm just going to guess and see. And I'm going to try 5x and x, because that's my only choice here. I'm just going to guess 2 and 3. So I'm going to plus 2 and plus 3. Now to see if it works, I'm going to do the outside of FOIL, 15x. The inside of FOIL, 2x. Remember, you actually have to guess and check when the number in front is bigger than 1. So that's why I end up getting 17x. So that's your correct answer. So your answer is just going to be two sets of parentheses, 5x plus 2, x plus 3. Now that's not one of your four choices on the post-test study guide, because there were some people who just, they refused to try any of the multiple choice problems. So I did put on the post-test study guide some that didn't have a good answer. Alright, so that's your answer right there. It should be two sets of parentheses. Alright, so number 18, very similar concept. We have three terms, which tells me I have to use the general trinomial method. So the first thing I'm going to do is break down the factors of the first term. So I'm going to put 1x and 3x. Include the x when you do this. Don't just write 1 and 3, write 1x and 3x. Show me that you know how to split the x. Now, because it's a negative right here, I know it's negative 1 and 5, or it could be positive 1 and negative 5, and I have a way to figure that out if I need to. Now, I'm going to guess. So I'm going to guess 1x and 3x, and I'm going to guess negative 1 and plus 5. So now I'm going to check the outside. I get 5x. The inside, I get negative 3x. Together, that's 2x. That is not 14x, so that is not what I want. Right? That just means I have to guess again. So this time, I'm going to guess 3x minus 1 and x plus 5. So when the number is bigger than 1, order matters. It matters if the negative 1 is with the x or it's with the 3x. So it matters where you put those. So I get 15x on the outside. On the inside, you get minus 1x. Together, that's 14x. That's exactly what I want. So that means my answer for this one is going to be 3x minus 1, x plus 5. That's it. Remember, your answer is going to be two sets of parentheses. That's for 18. Alright, 19 is actually an easier version because the number in front is of the x squared is 1, so you get to use your adding shortcut again. So x and x, negative 132 is negative 1 and 132. Probably not going to help me because that adds up to be 131. Negative 2 and 66, not going to help me because that adds up to be 64. Negative 3 and 44, not going to help me. Negative 4 and 33, not going to help me. 5 doesn't go into it. 6 and 22, not going to help me. 7 doesn't help me. 8 doesn't help me. 9 doesn't help me. 10 doesn't help me. Negative 11 and 12. So I like negative 11 and 12, except when I add them together, I get plus 1. So the rule is whenever that happens, you just switch both sides. So instead I put x plus 12. I'm sorry. I meant to say x minus 12. So you put x minus 12, x plus 11. So that switch right here makes it so negative 1 works in the middle. So that means your final answer is going to be this, x minus 12, x plus 11. A little bit easier when you get to use the adding shortcut. That's it. Alright, so 20, very similar to 17 and 18. The first thing I do, 1x and 12x, 2x and 6x, 3x and 4x. How do I get 15? 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Now my rule of thumb is I usually pick I usually guess the numbers that are closest together first. So I don't know if this is going to work, it's just my guess. So I'm going to guess 3x plus 5 and 4x plus 3. Now I put the 3 with the 4 because if I put it over on the other side, they'd have something in common. So it just tells me to try this first. So now I do the outside. I get 9x. The inside, I get 20x. Together, that's 29x. And that worked. So that's my first guess and it worked out. So the answer for number 20 is 3x plus 5, 4x plus 3. And that's it for 20. Alright, 21, very similar to 19, so it's easy. So how do I get x squared? X and x. How do I get negative, I don't know why I put negative 132, it's just 32. So, how do I get 32? Well, it's negative 32, so I could have negative 1 and 32, negative 2 and 16, negative 3, doesn't work, negative 4 and 8. So, I like 8 and negative 4 because it gives me 4, but I want negative 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the signs in the middle. So I'm going to do x minus 8, x plus 4. That gives me the negative 4 in the middle. So that means my final answer is x minus 8, x plus 4. Like I said, you can always check it and do the outside and the inside, but that's going to work. That's why our adding shortcut works only if it's 1x squared up here. And actually, that's not one of the choices on 21, so that one is not one of your choices. So that is your answer. All right, number 22, we have 4x squared plus 36x plus 81. So once again, I'm going to go through my factors. 1x, 4x, 2x, 2x. 81's got a bunch. But I know 81's perfect. So not that this is always true, but if I ever have a perfect square to start and a perfect square to end, I always check the square roots first. So I'm just going to check that first and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then I'm out of luck. And I got to go through all the factors again. But I do this, I get 18x. I get 18x. Together that's 36x, which is what I want. That means this works. Another way you might see this answer is because these are exactly the same, you might see one set of parentheses squared also written as an answer. So that's it for 22. 23 and 24 are both FOIL problems because there's two sets of parentheses. You don't have to call it FOIL, you can call it distributive property, whichever. But they're both done exactly the same. So, both of these we're going to just do FOIL just to show it. So FOIL, I do the first two. I get x times x is x squared. Now I'm going to do the outside two. X times negative 5 is minus 5x. Then we do the inside two. I get minus 3 times x is minus 3x. I do the last two. I do negative 3 times negative 5 to get plus 15. Now I combine the like terms in the middle. So my best answer is x squared minus 8x plus 15. That's it. So I do the same thing for 24. 5x goes to 11x. That's 55x squared. So that's the f part. That's the first 2. Now I'm going to do the outside 2. 5x goes to 8, negative 8, that's minus 40x. Now I'm going to do the inside 2. 2 goes to 11x, that's plus 22x. Now I'm going to do the last 2. 2 goes to negative 8, it's minus 16. Now I'm going to combine my like terms in the middle. And I'm up with 55x squared minus 18x minus 16. And that's it for 24. Done. Alright, so 25 is very similar to 23 and 24, except you must pick 2 at a time. It's the most common mistake I see is you must pick 2. So look, you're going to do the first 2 just like you did 23 and 24. So you're going to FOIL just like you did before. So you're going to do the first 2. X goes to x, that's x squared. You do the outside 2. X goes to at 1, that's plus 1x. You can just put x there if you want. You do the inside 2. Minus 2 goes to 2x, it's going to be minus 4x. You're going to do the last 2. Minus 2 goes to 1, it's going to be minus 2. Combine your like terms in the middle. So this red box turns into x squared minus 3x minus 2. Now look, I didn't do anything with this x minus 4, and I'm going to put it in front. You could put it at the end, I just like to put it in front. So now look, x is going to go to all 3 of them. So it's like distributive property times 2, or I like to call it pizza delivery guy. So x is pizza delivery guy, he goes to everybody's house. So x goes to x squared, gives me x cubed. X goes to minus 3x, gives me minus 3x squared. X goes to minus 2, gives me minus 2x. Now I do the same exact thing again, but this time negative 4 is pizza delivery guy. So negative 4 goes to x, it gives me minus 4x squared. And notice I like to line it up with the x squareds. That makes my like terms a little bit easier in the end. Then minus 4 goes to minus 3, it becomes plus 12x. Notice it's already lined up. Minus 4 goes to minus 2, it's plus 8. Notice it's not lined up with anything because there are no other like terms. Combine my like terms, I get x cubed minus 7x squared plus 10x plus 8. So that's it for 25. So 26 is very similar to the second half of 25. I have 2 pizza delivery guys, so x is going to deliver pizza. He's going to go to everybody's house. X goes to x squared, gives me x cubed. X goes to 2x, gives me plus 2x squared. X goes to negative 5, gives me minus 5x. Now negative 3 is pizza delivery guy. Negative 3 goes to x squared, gives me minus 3x squared. Negative 3 goes to 2x, gives me minus 6x. Negative 3 goes to negative 5, gives me plus 15. Combine my like terms, so my final answer is going to be x cubed minus x squared minus 11x plus 15, and we are done. And that's it. 27 and 29, I see a lot of mistakes because a lot of people FOIL. You do not FOIL because of the negative sign right here. You do not FOIL. The negative sign distributes to all 3 things. So the right set of parentheses turns into minus 9s minus 1 plus 2s squared. So the negative sign changes the signs. Nothing happens to these ones. It just stays the same. 8s squared plus 7s. Now I just combine like terms. S squareds go with s squareds. So that's going to turn into 10s squared. 7s and minus 9s becomes minus 2s. Those cancel out. Minus 1. That's it. So your best answer is 10s squared minus 2s minus 1. Remember, do not FOIL. The only time you FOIL or multiply is if there's nothing in between the parentheses. They're right next to each other. If there's a minus or a plus in between the parentheses, you do not FOIL. Alright, I'm going to do 28 and 30 on the same thing. So 28 is the square root of 27. Now remember, when you're simplifying radicals, you can't have a perfect square factor inside the radical. So I'm going to be using this list of perfect squares. 27 is on the list, but 9 is on the list. It goes into 27 3 times. So this 9 right here, it's going to turn into this 3. This 3 right here, he goes inside the radical as 3. Alright, so that's your answer. Done. Okay. 30 is almost exactly the same. I have the square root of negative 396. Once again, 30 does not go into, or 396 is not on my list. So I look for a number on my list that goes into it. Now the first thing I do notice is, I do see a negative sign. So remember, whenever you see a negative sign, it makes I show up. Now I can say what number goes into 396. So the other thing we got to notice is 396 is on my list, but 36 goes into it 11 times. All right. So 36 is the perfect number. That leaves the jail. Remember, square root of 36 is 6. 11, he is not perfect. He stays in jail forever. So this 11 right here goes right here. So your best answer for this one is 6i radical 11. And that's it. Alright, I probably should have put 29 with 27, but I didn't. So we did go out of order a second. So I have 5x squared minus 6x plus 2 plus, in parentheses, negative 12x minus 2. Once again, do not FOIL. There is a plus sign in between there. The plus sign doesn't change anything. So really, you can literally just erase the parentheses. And just combine like terms. 5x squared, there are no other x squareds. 6x, negative 6x, minus 12x is minus 18x. Cancel those out. Plus 2, minus 2. Those are dot 0. So that's your answer for 29. 5x squared minus 18x. That's it. Alright, number 31. Once again, this is very similar to 27. You do not FOIL. So do not FOIL because there's a minus sign in between. So that means I distribute the negative sign. So the right side of parentheses turns into minus 9 minus 3i. These ones stay the same because there's nothing in front of that set of parentheses. So the left one stays negative 4 plus 2i. Now numbers go with numbers. So I get negative 13. I's go with i's, give me minus I. Remember, you should always write the real number first. That's why it's negative 13, then minus I. That's it for 31. So 32 is almost the exact same as 31. Negative 4 is going to distribute. So the right side of parentheses becomes minus 4 minus 12i. The left side of parentheses doesn't change at all. Remember, once again, do not FOIL because of the minus 4 in between. So now I just combine like terms. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 5i minus 12i is minus 17i. That's it for 32. Alright, for 33, we have 7 plus 4i over negative 2 plus 3i. So you're not allowed to have an i in the bottom. That's how we're going to use conjugates. Now, the bottom, that's all I care about, looks kind of like the complex version of hard. And the bottom, to me, kind of looks like this. So that means I'm going to use my box. So remember, we're going to make a box because we're going to multiply by a box so it can equal 1. So I'm going to multiply by a fraction. That fraction has to be equal to 1, so that means the top and bottom have to be the same. Remember, I look at the bottom, I write the exact same thing, so except I change the sign in the middle. So it has to be negative 2 minus 3i. Whatever I write in the bottom, I write in the top, because then the box equals 1, you're allowed to do that. So now I just multiply across the top and the bottom, so the top becomes 7 plus 4i in parentheses, negative 2 minus 3i in parentheses. The bottom becomes negative 2 plus 3i, and then negative 2 minus 3i. So now I'm going to FOIL the top. So I'm going to do FOIL. 7 goes to negative 2. So I get negative 14. So 7 went to negative 2 to give me negative 14. 7 goes to negative 3 to give me minus 21i. The inside 4i goes to negative 2 to give me minus 8i. And then 4i goes to minus 3i to give me minus 12i squared. Now the bottom, you can FOIL the bottom if you want. I'm going to use this shortcut right there that says take a, -2, square it. That's 4. Take 3, square it. That's 9. Add them together. Right. The other thing you have to remember is that I squared is -1. So that makes that -12 I squared the same thing as plus 12. So now I combine my like terms and I get an answer. For -14 and 12 is -2. -21i minus 8i is minus 29i all over 13. That's an okay answer. Remember, the best answer says to split the fraction. So your best answer is -2 over 13 minus 29 over 13i. So that is the best answer for 33. And that was tough, but like I said, you want to use the complex conjugates that are hard, and then you got to use FOIL, and you got to remember I squared equals -1. Right? That's it for 33. Alright, so 34 is an easier version of 33 because the bottom of this is just 11i. Since there's no plus or minus in between the 11 and the I, it's actually an easier version. It's actually an easy version of the complex. Now notice, you're always going to use I. So when I make my box, now I saw a lot of people try to use 11i over 11i. That's not wrong. It's just not going to be the simplest. So I'm going to use I over I. So that makes it pretty easy. So the I is going to go to both. So the top's going to turn into this. I times 4 minus 9i, 11i times I. So the top becomes 4i minus 9i squared all over 11i squared. So then we have to remember that I squared equals -1. So that -9i squared is actually plus 9. And that 11 is actually minus 11. So good answer is going to be 9 plus 4i all over -11. Best answer is going to be -9/11 minus 4/11 I. That is proper standard form because you have a real part, -9/11, and an imaginary part, -4/11. Alright, and that's it. Alright, 35. Once again, do not FOIL because of the plus in the middle. Remember, the plus sign is really easy. It just means ignore the parentheses and combine like terms. So all I'm going to do is combine my like terms. -8, -7 is -15. 3i and 5i is 8i. That's it. This is another one where I don't have a good answer for your multiple choice. So there isn't a good multiple choice answer right there. That's the correct answer. -15 plus 8i. 36. 36 you are going to FOIL. Because remember, there's nothing inside the parentheses. So I'm going to do FOIL. 7 goes to 7. That's going to become 49. The outside, 7 times 8i, is going to become 56i. The inside is going to be -8i times 7, so it's minus 56i. And then the last two are going to be minus 64i squared. So the i's cancel. Remember, I squared equals -1. So that -64 actually turns into plus 64. I add it to 49. So my best answer is going to be 113. And that's it.